Hi, welcome to the Mediator Podcast, a podcast and video series about mediation, negotiation, and collaboration. My name is Melissa Gragg, and I'm a valuation expert and divorce financial mediator in St. Louis, Missouri. In today's episode, we're speaking about the business of negotiation, inherited trauma, and family wealth with Ruschelle Khanna. What is inherited trauma or generational trauma, really from like a therapist or from that perspective, that we can start to understand it, to unpack it?
So the technical definition of inherited trauma is that our DNA holds genetic information from our parents and grandparents and possibly even further back, and that can influence our experiences. So everything from metabolic changes to psychological the ways that we look at the world. So for example, depression and anxiety can be inherited. There are lots of studies on the Holocaust, studies on the tragedies in Cambodia, where people had to endure severe things. And then the second and third generation have specific differences that their parents didn't have metabolically and behavior wise. So the DNA, there's a lot of evidence about those changes. There's also now specific evidence that we actually inherit memories. And this was specific memories or shadows of those memories. And this was what actually brought me to this work, because I inherited a memory from my mother. My first earliest memory was an inherited memory. And I know that is because of an inherited trauma, because that's that memory started for me at age 4. And my mother's trauma happened at age 4. So one of the ways that we can tell that it is inherited trauma is if the onset of a symptom of anxiety or depression and something else occurs at the same age as the person who experienced the trauma. So if my mother had a trauma at age 4 and then mine manifested at age 4, that's a clear sign that that's an inherited trauma.
Okay, well, that is not at all like what we would perceive as even generational trauma. Like that is a very unique perspective, right? Like, yeah.
Maybe what you're considering generational trauma is the other part definition, which is these behavioral patterns that are passed down. And for example, granddad was an alcoholic, so mom was a codependent. Therefore, their child might have become an alcoholic because that pattern of interacting was passed down. So that is also generational trauma. So we've got the behavioral, the nurture piece, and we also have what we actually inherit.